All right, welcome back live. We continue here on Pittsburgh CW. Bob Pompeani, Andrew Fillipponi. You see the number there. Bordas and Bordas hotline, 575-2600. Andrew, I have a tweet right off the bat. I'll get to it, and I want to get your reaction. Zach Collins says this: if it's too unsafe to play college football, then it should be too unsafe to pack dorm rooms. And I think this is an interesting point being brought up by people. Schools are going to go back where I think kids are absolutely much more at risk when you're on your own in a dorm room going to parties versus what we've seen from some of these medically controlled college football situations. Many of the guys want to play, coaches want to play, and yet they've decided to do an about face. I was surprised they did this quickly because they had time to maneuver a little bit. What's your take on this and the tweet that Collins put in?
Well, that's what the ACC doctor said today, the Duke doctor who is advising the ACC. He said, yeah, it's a risk, but so is campus living. You know, at least, Bob, with schools like USC and the Pac-12 who canceled today as well, I don't think USC is allowing students back on campus. It's all virtual learning, so at least with one major school that's affected by this, there's a little bit of consistency. The Big Ten new commissioner is a lawyer by trade. He was an attorney for the Minnesota Vikings, and I think that's the way he's looking at this. I think he's very concerned about lawsuits, and that's what I think heavily influenced their decision to do, you know, the conservative thing and cancel the season here. What's going to be interesting, Bob, is if the other Power 5 schools, conferences that are going to try, the Big 12, the ACC, the SEC, can you imagine if those conferences are able to put on a college football season and then the Big Ten doesn't? We've already seen the way that the coaches have reacted. They might fire this conference commissioner over this. I mean, it was a bold decision. It was one, to James Franklin's point, Bob. I didn't feel like a decision needed to be made today, 6 days after they put out a Big Ten schedule.
See, that was the thing about that whole situation. 6 days ago, every intention of playing, they brought these kids in, they surrounded them with good testing. They did everything they had to do. They changed their schedule. They came out with a new schedule. Everything seemed to be moving forward, and then something changed, and it has to be litigation related, since what you said is true. When you have a man in charge who now has counseling in his background in terms of legal counseling, he knows what he's dealing with. But we'll see. I want to go to the phones. We have a lot of people want to talk. Andrew, first up is Waylon in Washington. What's up, Waylon? How are you?
Hi, Waylon.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Andrew. How you guys doing tonight?
Good to talk to you.
Check it out. Like Starduzzi from Pitt. You know, I really like the guy. I think he's a great coach, and you know, he's down to earth, and he wants to play. You know, so it's curious to me, like, you know, what Andrew just said about, like, you know, what goes on the other side of the coin. But, like, you know, let him play. Let him play.
Well, listen, Pitt hasn't had, to my knowledge, Waylon, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, a positive test in like a month. Have they? I mean, they do a lot of testing.
Not to my knowledge, and that, again, is what is so confounding about this, is that Penn State, Michigan, look at the letter Jim Harbaugh put out. These schools have done a pretty good job. There haven't been hospitalizations. Even when you had an initial outbreak when guys got to campus, like at Clemson, Bob, they got over it and they were fine. We talked about this with the Steelers going to training camp at St. Vincent, Bob. If you really think about it, a college campus is like a bubble. You know, you've got young adults who, they might mingle with each other, but they don't really leave. You're in dorms, you're to the cafeteria, you're to practice. You're in a very confined space. When I was in college, Bob, I didn't have a car. Okay, I was in one place for pretty much 3 or 4 months, which is exactly what, you know, these situations that have worked with sports, the bubble is the way to go, and that's kind of what college life is like, really.
All right, back to the lines. We got Jim joins us right now in Clearfield. Go ahead, Jim. What's your point tonight?
Hey, guys. Love your show.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
Hey, as far as the cancellation with high school and college football, I understand, too, that it's probably because of a lawsuit. My question is, these kids want to play football. Why can't each one of them sign some kind of a waiver?
Well, I mean,
I don't think the waiver would hold up in court.
No, I don't either, but I also think that's something that's been brought up on a professional level, not so much on this. But you said high school. High school around here hasn't determined that yet. They want to meet again with the governor, and they want to try to figure something out because I don't think they liked how it was shoved in their arena from the governor's point of view. And so we'll see. They're going to meet again. I think it's August the 24th on that one. David in Finleyville is up next. Hey, David, how you doing?
Hi, Bob.
Hi, David.
Thanks for taking my call. Hey, Andrew. I want yours and Andrew's opinion. Who's likely more to go, Letang or Malkin, if they do decide to pull the trigger and if they both have trading clause in their contract?
Yeah, but Malkin's, I think, is a full trade clause. I don't think Letang's is, right? So
Letang submits a list of teams he can be traded to.
So that makes it easier, I would think, for Jim Rutherford if he wants to do that. But I know that he logs an awful lot of minutes back there. And while a lot of people don't like how he plays and some of his decision-making, Andrew, has been questionable with some of his end-to-end passes that he tries to squeeze in to a very small window. But I honestly think it would be easier if you get the right deal and if he's okay with it. But I don't know. Evgeny Malkin's not going to be okay with it. He said a lot that he wants to stay in Pittsburgh. So he has ultimate control there. But Jim Rutherford did say today that he's not intending to trade any of those core players. However, it's his obligation to listen to a trade that would benefit his team moving forward. So take that for what it's worth.
Well, I wonder if guys that we're not even really thinking about, Bob, that would have value, if to shake things up, Rutherford contemplates and even offers these players in trade. So what I mean is non-obvious guys who would be in demand: Brian Rust, Brian Dumoulin, guys who you would think, well, the Penguins would rather keep them than trade them. But as the old saying goes, you got to give up something to get something. The James Neal Patrick Hornquist trade was one of those deals. You can't just trade Nick Bukestad and expect that somebody's going to give you something of great value back. He never plays, and he's got a $4 million contract. So that's what I'm talking about. In order for change to happen, Bob, Jim Rutherford's probably going to have to give up a good player.
Would you consider Jake Gensel if someone wanted him and gave you a nice offer in return?
See, that one's tougher for me. That one's a lot harder. I'm having a really difficult time, Bob. I don't know about you, really criticizing his performance in this playoff run because of what he came back from. And I get it. We're seeing Seth Jones do it with Columbus. Look at all the minutes he logged. An unbelievable game tonight, 60 minutes of ice time. But, to come back from that major surgery, get thrown right back in with only a scrimmage and an exhibition, Bob, I don't know. So, no, I guess what I'm saying is he's so young he can score 40 goals. I wouldn't move him.
Right. Also, Victor Hedman, you mentioned Seth Jones. He wasn't maybe even supposed to play tonight. 57 minutes. He had 9 shots on goal, 23 shot at 10. He was fantastic and made some great defensive plays. All right, now it's time for our Tri-State Office Furniture Tweet of the Day. And this one comes to us from Louis Riddick, who's going to be on that Monday Night Football broadcast for ESPN. He says, are the Big Ten schools shutting down campuses and not allowing students to be around each other in dorms, classrooms, student unions, and any other setting where they could gather? Are they going 100% remote? Just asking. So he's of the belief, like we are, that if you're going to allow students in here, then why can't you allow football? But that debate will continue with the other conferences still looking to make final decisions. We'll come back with more of your phone calls right here. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call 7 nights a week, so don't be a stranger. Give us a call right here.